The way President Trump got to the White House in 2016 will look very different this time around. I think we all realize that. The electorate has changed in 2020. And here to talk more in depth about that is 538 elections analyst Jeffrey Skelly. Jeffrey, in 2016, one of the biggest themes was the educational divide, with non-college educated white voters swinging toward Trump and those with degrees moving toward Clinton. So are any of the 2016 trends sticking? And what are some of the new themes that are emerging this time around?
Yes. So that education gap we saw among white voters is something that has continued to show up in polls. And, I think there's some debate about sort of how large it will be this time. But I do think that what the polls generally agree on is that white voters with a college degree are likely to back Joe Biden, and white voters without a college degree are likely to back Donald Trump. And so at the end of the day, that's a thing that we've seen carry over. We'll see by how much. And then in terms of something that's newer, in 2016, President Trump did not do well with voters of color, and he's unlikely to do all that well with them this time. But, of course, margins matter. And if you make up some ground with one group, that can help you. And in this case, if you look at Black and Hispanic voters, I think the polls do show, generally speaking, that Trump is doing somewhat better than he did in 2016. And I think that's more notable among Hispanic voters specifically, but you see that across voters of color as a whole.
And why do you think that is, Jeffrey?
Well, I think there could be some debate on that. I mean, where it shows up, if you sort of break down groups, among one group that I found looking at some data was younger Black voters. Trump is going to lose among Black voters under 45 by a very large margin, but it might be 60 points instead of 75 this time around. And what that might come down to is younger Black voters aren't as positive about the Democratic Party as older Black voters, who look like they're going to vote roughly the same as they did 4 years ago. And younger Black voters also, while they tend to think that Donald Trump is a racist, they may not be as strongly inclined to say that, oh, we can't give him a chance to sort of shake things up. There's been some polling on that showed that older voters were far less likely to say that they'd be willing to give him a chance to sort of shake things up. So that's one example.
All right, you've studied a lot of this data from 2016 and this year that paints a pretty much of a broader picture of how preferences have shifted. What did you find?
Well, looking at white voters, who I think it's important to remind people they'll make up about 7 out of 10 voters in this election, one of the things that was really fascinating was that from 2016 to now, it looks like Joe Biden has improved upon where Hillary Clinton was, and so Donald Trump isn't doing as well among white voters, though he will very likely win among that group as a whole. But the shift among white voters you could almost entirely account for by the shift among white women, whereas white men look like they're going to support Donald Trump at similar levels to 2016, Joe Biden may end up doing somewhat better or a lot better among white women than Hillary Clinton did. And so that shift among white voters as a whole may be entirely due to that.
All right, I have to ask this quick answer based on this electorate shift, who is 538 currently forecasting to win this election?
Well, we look at the polls as a whole and don't break down the demographics for that. But I can say that our forecast gives Joe Biden about a 9 in 10 chance of winning. But Donald Trump having a 1 in 10 chance, that's not zero. He could very well win.
All right, Jeffrey, we'll be talking soon. We'll see how the data panned out. You can check out more from 538 and all of their analysis at 538.com.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.